the 2025 State of the City Address. And for those who don't know, I'm one of the councilmen here in the city, Cliff Kelly, Ward 6. And just before we get started, we wanted to, let me see, honor, we see Rochelle Tunsing, Councilwoman of Ward 5. Is there anyone else, council? We got a lot of stuff going on tonight, I think, as it appears. We see our President of City Council, Millette King, back there. I was school board. I'm sorry, school board. You know, I was gonna screw it up. President of our school board and our clerk of council, Lottie Overby. Well, we want to welcome again everyone here tonight. Again, you know, we got a lot of stuff going on in the city of Garfield Heights. You know, the mayor's been real busy trying to, you know, get funds for the city and, you know, find, you know, grant money, and, you know, he's just been busy. And so, and as a member of council, you know, we're very happy and proud to actually see what's happening behind the scenes and being able to look at some of the issues as we are looking at things that have to be, you know, looked at in our charter, and things that have to be, you know, looked at some of the ordinances and just some of the challenges that we have to actually deal with hands-on in our, you know, in the city and actually in the meetings. And so, so our mayor is here tonight to give us a report as to what has happened in this last year and where we're projected to go in this next year coming up. So without further ado, we want to introduce our mayor, Matthew Berg. Take it away.
Thank you, Cliff. You know, I went to the doctor last week, and she says to me, she says, "Mayor, are you sleeping at night?" And I said, "Well, if you add all the hours that I get sleep-wise, I probably get 4 good days, or 4 good nights of sleep." And so she says, "But I looked at all your numbers, and you know, your A1C's good, your cholesterol's good, your could be lose a little bit of weight, but you know." She says, "What are you doing with yourself?" I said, "Well, I'm in the woods a lot. I'm constantly going up and down hills and scaling over rocks, and then when I'm not in the woods, I'm in the waters, just kind of wading down the bank in all the thickets and stuff." And she says, "I didn't realize you were that much of an outdoorsman." I said, "Well, no, I'm just a bad golfer." Having said that, let me get into tonight's State of the City, and hopefully we can get you out of here at a reasonable time. I do see a good friend of mine, Mr. Chris Alvarado from the county, is here. He's the Director of Regional Collaboration for Cuyahoga County. Chris, thank you for coming. So let's talk about the state of the city of Garfield Heights. First of all, wanted to give you a idea of my background. For those that don't know, I've been the mayor of Garfield Heights officially since 2021, February 1st, 2021. I actually took over about 11 months before that as an interim mayor, and since 2021 to the present has been quite a life-changing experience for me, as you're about to see. I was the Ward 6 council person, and Cliff there has been gracious enough to accept those responsibilities when I moved up to mayor, when I got elected. I started my political career in Garfield Heights in 2010 when a young man was actually hit by a drunk driver in front of my house, and that's what really got me involved in the political scene here. So prior to that, and while I was a council person, I was also in the floor covering business. Started my floor covering career here in Garfield Heights at a place called Color Tile Home Improvement Stores, which used to be where Domino's Pizza is in Turneytown. I was a stock person. I didn't know anything. greatest job on earth. All I had to do was stack stuff and unload stuff, load customers up. I didn't have to think, which was great. But as I grew up, I was a territory rep for the largest floor covering manufacturer in the world, Mohawk Industries. Before that, I was also working for the largest distributor in the Midwestern United States, Ohio Valley Flooring. And I say that only because that experience of managing people and visiting pretty much every town and every city in Ohio has helped me to prepare for what we do here at the mayor's office and what we do in Garfield Heights. I have literally visited probably every small town and every major metropolitan area in the state of Ohio. And currently, I serve on 10 different regional boards and associations. The newest one is one that was formed by the Northeast Ohio Mayors and City Managers Association, where they asked me to chair a Safety Forces Retention Committee. I serve on the Cuyahoga County Planning Commission. I am an executive board member of the First Suburbs Consortium, and I'm also a key player in the One Ohio Region 3 opioid funds regional board as well. And there's so many others. I constantly go to meetings. And all that stuff helps the city of Garfield Heights. So, waiting for my screen to go. Some of the things we want to talk about tonight are things that I get frequent phone calls on, and those are I want to put those out there first. One of the things we talk about is public safety. Everybody's always concerned about the safety of the city and how we handle safety. Another thing is economic development. I am currently also assumed the role of the Economic Development Director for the city of Garfield Heights ever since Noreen Kuban decided to retire. And I just did not feel like I wanted to hire somebody and go through what some of the other cities have gone through, where they hire somebody and then a year later they lose that person to another city. And I just wanted to make sure we grow from within. And the next person that's going to step up and take that position is our very own Janice Tubbs, and she's already the assistant director of the Economic Development Department. Hopefully soon she'll be able to take that over. Another thing we want to talk about is the community life experience that we have here. What's it like to live in Garfield Heights, and how can we make it better? So let's start off talking about safety and our police force. First of all, I have to mention we have the most elite police force in the state of Ohio. And those words come right out of the mouth of Governor Mike DeWine. A few years back, Governor DeWine and our police force talked about the crime safety prevention grants. And he awarded Garfield Heights Police $1.3 million in grants to make the city safer. What did they do with that? First thing they did was they improved the technology that we have here in the city. They use technology to battle crime. There is an idea, right? The other thing they did was they formed a target enforcement unit. This is 4 individuals that go out and they just beat crime. Some of the statistics, for example. Recently, there was a Neighbors on Duty meeting. And one of the statistics that stuck out to me was because of these 4 individuals working with the Ohio Investigative Unit and with BCI, they go out in the streets and they take guns off the streets. Last year, they took 64 guns off the street. Prior to that, in 2023, they took 230-some guns off the street. because of these 4 individuals, we've seen a huge decline in these guys and the guns that are in our neighborhood. Now, some people might say, well, you know, they just quit taking guns off the street, so that makes the community better and it makes the numbers look better. But that's not the case. The case is that they actually have cracked down on the crime. But getting back to technology, how many people, you know, grew up with Inspector Gadget? You know, I remember when I was a kid, Inspector Gadget, right? We have our very own Go-Go Gadget grappler now. This is something that our police came to us and said, Mayor, I like this technology, I think we should go after it. And of course, pretty much everything the police ask me that they want, within reason, I tell them, yeah. When they told me about this, I said, you're putting me on, I didn't think it was real. So back around Christmas time, they got their grappler, and they took it out of the box, and lo and behold, Christmas night, they used it. I said, you guys didn't even get it out of the box yet, you guys already used it. But what it is, it's an apparatus that actually is attached to the front of a police cruiser, and as they're pursuing a suspect who's trying to elude them, they literally, it's a Go-Go Gadget grappler, they hit a button and this thing throws a net out and ties up the rear tire of the car. And it tethers them right to the police car so that these guys aren't going anywhere. The very first person they got was a guy, that was a group of kids that was eluding about 4 to 6 other agencies, and he got away. From 4 to 6 other agencies, we got him that night, and it was really good. It was all over the news. I think people just thought we were putting them on when we said there's this grappler system. We are one of 2 agencies that have it. Parma has it, and I'm told that a bunch of other agencies have signed up for it. So the grappler is the newest technology. Next to the grappler, we have invested heavily in drones. And if you look to the screen there, you can see some of the drones that we have. It's important to note that each drone that we have has an officer attached to it. And those drones have been very helpful. If you look at the screen on the left, you see a individual that's actually out in the field. This was a cold day in the winter, and he was a young man, a teen that left home. He was hurt and missing, and our drone was up and found him through the heat signature there. And you can see the officer walking towards him, and it's because the drone captain could tell the officer, you're right on top of him, he's within 10 feet of you. This type of technology, folks, is unbelievable. If you look at the right-hand side of the screen, they actually used it to locate a suspect, and they apprehended that suspect, which I'll tell you about later. The same type of individual hiding from the police in the dark. The other nice thing about that drone that has the heat signature, if you've gone down Granger Road Hill in the last 8 months or so, you've noticed that this past winter it was dry. That when you're driving down, even with the hard rain that we've had, you don't see water coming up through the road anymore. And that's because last year in sub-zero weather, we launched the drone and we took a heat signature of Granger Road Hill, and we saw where all the water was coming up. We invested $500,000 into that road to make it dry and to make it safe, so we don't have to shut it down during the winter again. Outside of our drones, we also expanded our K9 unit to include K9 Ike. So we have like Creed, and we have Echo, which I'm sure everybody has met. I have not met Ike yet, but I can't wait to meet him. But you can see with these, with the K9 unit, 3 different K9s, we do a lot with helping other communities also through our K9s. One of the stories that I heard last year was we had a drone up, and the suspect was hiding in the bushes in front of the officer. The officer couldn't find him. It was dark out. The drone had a heat signature on him and said, "You're right on top of the guy. He's 4 feet from you." And the officer said to the suspect, he says, "If you don't come out, the dog is coming in." And within seconds, the guy came out. So nobody wants to battle the dogs. I can tell you, if you look at those pictures there, it's hard to tell which ones are the canines and which ones are the officers. I'm joking, but those are very special officers that, I mean, they take their job very seriously. All in all, that's what's kept the city pretty much safe here. We've seen a drastic decline, 33% decrease in violent crime in Garfield Heights. Our calls are about 60 calls per day, which is down roughly 1% from 2023. One of the things I will say about our police force is the leadership, and that is Chief K. Chief K is a 1994, I think, graduate of Garfield Heights High School. He was a valedictorian in his class, National Honor Society, I think. But if you look at what he says there, that's what we have created at the Garfield Heights Police Department, a special group of officers utilizing the latest technology to keep our community safe. Let me tell you, these guys are 100% involved in this city. Many of them grew up here. A lot of them just respect our residents in our city. I have to hand it to them. They are a special group of individuals. The latest technology they brought to me was this thing called drones as a first responder. We're going to be the first unit to ever have that here at Garfield Heights. We just got cleared through the FAA. This is a drone that sits up on top of a building, so it'll probably be positioned somewhere centrally in Garfield Heights. I don't want to disclose the location, but when you get a phone call from somebody who says, "Hey, there's a robbery going on at Arthur Treacher's," let's say, within 30 seconds, this drone just takes up off of a building. It's kind of like a bird that's in a nest. It just takes off and goes and hovers over that area and starts monitoring that entire area. That is unprecedented. And in order to have that, you have to have clearance from the FAA, because most of these drones have to have an officer that is controlling them. This is the first one that the FAA is allowing us to just say, "Okay, here it is, send it." On top of that, that technology runs along with all the surveillance cameras we have in the city. A lot of times we'll get a call. There's a bunch of kids walking up Turney Road and they're harassing businesses. And guess what? We have cameras there watching that area. And our dispatchers can see that. They monitor those cameras 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They can see what's going on. And if there's a time, and there have been times where people have called in, and guess what? There aren't any kids there. Folks, that's a fictitious call to 911. That is a felony offense, as far as I know. And if we catch those type of people, we're going to prosecute them. Recently, over in Ward 1, I was at a Holy Spirit church, and the Smart Academy over there. And Smart Academy, the principal there said, "Listen, I called the police the one day, and the dispatcher, I was telling them about an incident across the street from us, and the dispatcher said, 'Where are they? Can you tell me exactly where they're at, because I don't see them on my camera?'" And she was able to turn the camera to see them. So our technology in our city is better than anybody else's in any other city. And I would put that up against our stuff up against anyone else. I do want to say something. I was asked by a resident, and a good friend of mine, I don't want to get into the specifics of the actual incident, but the man was badly injured. Let's just put it that way, badly injured. And some of the people are here tonight that helped him and tried to help save his life, and I want to acknowledge them. Jesselyn Burke, no relation to me, but Jesselyn, if you could stand up. Julie Angular, along with Donna Majoris, which is one of our dispatchers, and Officer Yusuf Ahiri, tried to save this young man's life. And unfortunately, he succumbed to his injuries, and my condolences go to you, Marlene. And I just want to say thank you for everything you tried to do for Alex. And appreciate it. Thank you. I want to move over to our fire department because you can't talk about our police without talking about our fire, otherwise they get offended. But, and I'm just joking, just recently we hired 3 new firefighters to take the place of some of the firefighters that we have had on the force for many, many years. It's important to know that the firefighters that are retiring or have retired are Steve Tukolsky and Scott McCarthy, and just recently Bob Weichel, and they will be missed. They were veterans of our fire department, and we wish them the best in their retirement. We hired 3 new firefighters, all young kids. The last guy that we just swore in, I swear soaking wet, he probably only weighs 100 pounds, but he is a quality guy. He's a firefighter that's out in Brimfield, Ohio, that also works here. He's a volunteer guy in Brimfield. Just has a passion for it. Along with him, these 2 firefighters, Brandon, and I think, I can't remember the other man's name off the top of my head. He went to school with my son. That's what makes me feel old. I also want to say that our firefighters, they are not to be like second to the police. They also invest in a lot of technology. There's only so much technology in fighting fires. But one of the things they came to me, they were adamant about, the chief came to me and said, we need to invest in some ice rescue suits. And you see them out there in the picture below. You see them out there at the new Garfield Pond at the Metro Parks training with the ice rescue suits. One of the nice things was I asked, does that thing really keep you warm? And they said, yeah, except for when you first jump in and the water goes down your shirt. That's pretty brutal. But again, you don't have to ask them. They look for these type of things. They want to go jump in that icy lake. And I said, let's hope you never have to. We've got some new vehicles this last year. We have a new engine that we just got, and that is state-of-the-art. It's kind of great to see an engine that has a lot of LED lights on it. It's incredible when you look at them right next to an old engine, how much different they are. We also recently just acquired this rescue squad, and sadly, one of our newest rescue squads was involved in an accident, and it was totaled. And those things, those squads probably run you about $300,000, and they're not readily available. Usually you gotta wait 2 to 3 years to get them. So when Mayor Kurtz in Independence heard that we were down a rescue squad, him and his council and his city graciously donated this piece of equipment to our Garfield Heights Fire Department at no cost to the city. So we sent him a nice letter and said thank you, and told him we'll come and cut his grass at the city as long as we need to, and we can just do whatever, his windows, whatever he needs. But he's been very supportive of Garfield Heights. He's been so supportive of me to offer that. Was a kind thing, and I'll never forget it from that man. He's a great man. So I thank him for that. One of the things that I wanted to say, and I think I missed out on, so I'm going to try to back up here, is we actually had some firefighters that I wanted to thank. We had an incident, and I don't know if I can pull this here. Maybe it's coming up. It's not scrolling. coming up, it's technology. Here we go. we've had 71 calls. Let me see here. We responded to 7,000 calls. I believe 5,600 of them were EMS. We had 125 fires, 584 service calls, and 385 of them were for the smoke detectors. And if you don't know, if you need smoke detectors in your house, our firefighters are well equipped to go out and install smoke detectors in your house at no charge to you. And we did it for 385 calls last year, so that's good. But what I wanted to mention was on May 31st last year, our firefighters responded to a structural fire where they rescued residents from that fire. I want to thank Captain James Toth, Lieutenant Mark Creaky, David Polachuk, Steve Kordash, Daniel Huff, Devin Milan, Joshua Russ, Kevin Straka, and Colin Wilson for helping to save the lives of many people in that structure fire. And these are the type of guys that we have working for us. I just seen Lieutenant Creaky last week, and it doesn't even faze them. You know, it's just like they're doing their job. That's their attitude. They're doing their job. I want to touch a little bit on the Cuyahoga County Central Services Campus. We actually met with some of the people involved in this project. Folks, this is a $930 million project. By the time it's said and done, this is probably going to be over $1 billion. What an investment the county has made in the city of Garfield Heights. So just to give you a little bit of a timeline, and this was something we just got this morning, they are in the middle of site prep right now. It'll be something that'll carry on pretty much throughout the year. They are, they've hired Gilbane, which is a design build firm. So what design build means is that they not only design it, but they build it as well. So normally what happens is you get a designer that designs it, and then it's got to go out for bid for somebody to give you a price on building it. This is all in one. They seem to have a great handle on things. You can see in the top picture the actual site, the way it looks now. Then you have a schematic of what the campus is going to look like, what's going to be on there. It's going to be not just the jail itself, but it's also going to house a mental capacity, like mental ward, for those folks that really shouldn't be in jail, but should be addressed for their maybe addiction or their mental sickness. And then on top of that, they also have a workforce reintroduction program, which is going to help train people so that when they get out of prison, they have a skill or a trade that make them more beneficial to society and really give them the tools they need to be successful. Down at the bottom corner there is a rendering of what Franklin County's facility looks like. I got to tell you, the majority of the people that have come to me said they support this. Every once in a while I have somebody who says, I don't want a jail in Garfield Heights. And when I show them a picture of Franklin County's rendering there, I said, what about that? What do you think of that? And they said, well, that's beautiful. I'd like to have that. And I said, well, that's the Franklin County Jail. This is not a jail like we have on Turney Road. This is a more modern facility that addresses different needs that we have never addressed in the past, like the mental health and addiction type things. So I'm very positive about the Central Services Campus. It's projected to bring about 1,100 workers to the city of Garfield Heights and about $1.5 million in revenue per year. But I would encourage everyone here to come on April 24th to the town hall meeting where we are going to have the members of Cuyahoga County that will be able to talk to you about the Central Services campus and give you a little bit more information. So please just plan on coming out that night. It's too much to talk about in this meeting. It needs its own meeting. So I beg of you to come. I also want to talk about the Garfield Heights Municipal Court. A lot of people have been asking, what are we doing with our municipal court? And as you know, that court is in bad shape. It's currently located on Turney Road at the Raymond A. Stackowitz Justice Center. Does anybody know who Ray Stackowitz was? He was the mayor of Garfield Heights, I think, back in the 1970s or so. And I remember meeting him when I was in 3rd grade. I did a class project and I had to interview him. The facility is over 60 years old, right? So we have had to look at different options on how we want to handle the court, right? And Judge Nicastro had talked with Mayor Trevor Elkins of Newburgh Heights, and they said that they could take the court if we wanted to give up the court. Now, our city council, we talked about it, we had some meetings over it, and we decided that we could let this court go to Newburgh Heights. So we drafted our resolution to say we'll allow it to go to Newburgh Heights. Their council graciously adopted a resolution that accepts it. We're just waiting for the state of Ohio to possibly amend the ORC and allow it to go to Newburgh Heights. Now, why would we want to do that? Some people say, why would you want to do that? Well, let's consider what it would cost if we had to build a new court. We could put an addition onto the current Stackowitz Justice Center to house the new court. Or we can remodel this building and put the court downstairs in the council chambers and have the entire bottom floor be the new courthouse with a separate entrance right underneath us here. That's a $10 million cost to the city of Garfield Heights. It's a $10 million cost to everybody here. We could partner with Cuyahoga County and possibly have them help us build a court, but their estimates are about $90 million. We could also go to public-private venture and do it at $60 million. Again, that's a huge cost to the residents of Garfield Heights. We all know we pay high taxes already. So that has not happened. We could also lease a building that's currently existing and retrofit it, remodel it into housing not just the court but also our police station, and that may cost us $500,000 to $750,000, or $500,000 to $750,000 yearly. But the best option for the city of Garfield Heights is to literally move the court to Newburgh Heights, and let me tell you why. How many people call about the trash cans? How many people call about speeders? How many people call about building code violations? A lot of these things don't even get seen in our municipal court because we are the only municipality that sends these things to municipal court. The reason being is that they don't want to hear them, right? The other municipalities have a mayor's court, and they're able to hold these people accountable in a mayor's court. Now, I have no passion of running a mayor's court, but I will take a mayor's court if we're allowed to have one. I will hire a magistrate, I will find somebody to actually rule, but we can then hold people accountable for a lot of the things that we get phone calls on that people say we don't do anything about. You know, that's important to me. I think that we're all praying. I know there's a group of city council people here, city council people in Newburgh Heights, and even people in Cuyahoga County government that will help us go down and lobby for them to amend the ORC. And I look for hopefully that to happen sometime this year, and then we can make an announcement on what we do with the municipal court. However, if we have to build this municipal court, we are still exploring those other three options, just to see which one's best for us. And going down to the state to see if we can get any money for that. Let's talk a little bit about our economic development and the strategies we have here in Garfield Heights. First of all, we began updating the city's zoning code 2023 in partnership with OHM Advisors and Zone Code. Now, why would we do that? Remember I told you I traveled around Ohio. I've seen a lot of cities in Ohio, a lot of small towns. I always ask myself, why can't Garfield Heights get some of the things that other cities, like Findlay for instance. I watched Findlay go from a small town to a pretty big town. I've seen what they've done in downtown Talmadge and in Kent. I've seen just things around us like Crocker Park, Pinecrest. You know, we all know what those look like. It was hard to get those here at Garfield Heights. You know why? Because our zoning prohibited a lot of those things. And if you're an investor and you have a lot of money and you want to invest it in Garfield Heights, you're not going to invest it if it's hard to do business with. If you got to go to a zoning meeting and ask for a variance every time you want to do something. That's why it doesn't happen. You know, we have an issue that's on the ballot coming up in May called Issue 14. You know what brought up Issue 14? Over on the corner of Rockside and Turney is a gas station, the Sunoco gas station there. They got great chicken there, by the way, just so you know. But that gas station owner bought two houses, two along next door on Rockside and two on Turney. And he had to come to planning and zoning, and he got a chance to change the land use from residential to commercial. The zoning board of appeals said, fine, we're okay with that. But it had to go to the vote of the people. 8 months later, at the general election, it was approved. So in 8 months, he was not able to put a shovel in the ground. He goes to put a shovel in the ground and he finds all the costs that is associated with building this new building of his can't be done because now the costs have gone up. So then the third house on each side decided they would sell their houses to him. And he did that, and he had to go through the whole process over again. And so now, 2 years later, he's still trying to get the money to build the new facility because he had to wait for the voters of Garfield Heights to approve it. Now you go over to Westlake, and you go over to Beechwood, you go over to Orange Village, and you know who approves Crocker Park? You know who approves Pinecrest? The Planning and Zoning Board. They approve it, and it happens. The council votes it in, and guess what? It happens. They don't have to wait. And it's because they are able to do that. They give their residents ample notice. You have literally almost 9 different meetings you can go to voice your opinion on whether or not you want that or not. And it only happens when there's land use changes. And I want to make that clear because when we update our zoning code, I don't know that we're going to have a lot of issues where we're going to have to change land use. We're introducing things like neighborhood mixed use, commercial mixed use development. This allows you to be able to have that gas station with maybe a shop next door, and then up above it have maybe office buildings or townhouses, things like that. You'll see that in our Reimagine Turney Road event that's coming up next week. Our final phase collaboration, it began this past January. Pretty soon you're going to see public meetings to show you what the zoning code is all about and what it looks like. But folks, you have to be open to issue 14 and supporting issue 14 and voting for issue 14. That one thing has single-handedly kept all the opportunity to redevelop our city for over 2 decades now. And I think it was something that was put in place way back in the Longo administration, and it just has held us back from being able to develop our city. And it's everywhere in our city. It's not just in certain locations, it's literally everywhere. We're looking at, again, modern development. We want to encourage modern development. You're going to see that up and down Turney Road. I already have people that are ready to buy. I just got a purchase agreement last week for somebody who wants to buy a piece of property right along Turney Road, and they want to put a modern style building up and start with their plan to invest in our city. I talked a little bit about the Turney Road TOD study, and if you look here, you can see on the map all those little red dots that go through there. All that is the actual study itself. This is where you're going to see possible renovation of our city. We continue to work on that with the Cuyahoga County planning people. They've done the study, and the study not just affects Garfield Heights, but it also affects Cleveland. And it's really partnered with the Greater Cleveland Regional Transit Authority, the RTA, to help get people moving and provide further connectivity. What you're going to see is how along Turney Road you can actually come out into the street a little longer when they narrow the street. Narrowing the street, they've done a street study there, a traffic study, and they found that Turney Road maybe at one day was vibrant, but today the amount of traffic going up and down Turney Road is not what it used to be. So the idea is to turn that into a nice little historic district, downtown historic district. This is something I hear from residents a lot. Why don't we have a little historic district like they have in Bedford? Well, here it is. This is your opportunity to get it. And just come to our April 9th meeting where the county will be here to talk about the TOD study. The other thing we have to do is we have to designate the city. We've been trying to do this for a while now, to designate the entire city of Garfield Heights as a community-wide reinvestment area. What does that do? It offers incentive, right? We have another corridor in our city, the East 131st Street corridor in Ward 1. If we can offer investment for tax abatement and things like that, you'll see the investment come in. If we fix our zoning and offer that type of investment, it allows for more development in our city. The other thing we have to work on is workforce development. I had a great conversation with Adam Holland and Jim Burt, who are, Adam's the owner of MPAC. If you don't know, MPAC is right here in Highland Park. MPAC is a company that makes robotic machinery. They make the robotic machinery that puts the Rice Krispies in the box. They make the robotic machinery that puts the beer cans in the boxes. And they're huge around the world. They've got a plant in Asia. They've got plants in Great Britain. They're headquartered out of Great Britain, but their American headquarters is right here in Garfield Heights. They also have a manufacturing plant in Toronto, Canada, that Adam said, I would like to one day bring that to the United States and possibly Garfield Heights. I said, well, what's holding you back, Adam? He said, where do I find workers? Where do I find the engineers of tomorrow? And that prompted us to start this workforce development strategy. We've partnered with Tri-C, we've partnered with Case Western and Cleveland State University to try to get some people that are maybe in high school now to understand that the future could be in engineering. We talked to Marymount Hospital. A lot of times they're looking for medical help and nurses and people like that nature. And we've come up with some programs, and you can see some of the programs here where Cuyahoga Community College and Cleveland Clinic partner to come up with some certificate programs and offer the youth of today a nice career that they can build on. And it's something that when I was in Canada a couple years ago, I seen how the government worked with the universities to do the research and test things. And one of their biggest things up there was the electric car industry. You know, they boasted and bragged about how they can build, they had enough minerals to build the electric car batteries. And here we are today, and we hear we hear everything on the news about how the United States needs to get more raw earth materials and raw earth minerals. And I wonder why, because I think the future of the world is going to see a big rise in electric vehicles. Did you know that GM and Ford and Chrysler have committed in 2023, 2024 to opening plants in the United States solely to make electric vehicles, to make their version of electric vehicles? So that technology is not going to go away. It may not be accepted by everybody in the world, but it's definitely not going away. So workforce development is huge. Again, we do a lot with that. We try to do a lot with that. How do we engage the community? This is another spot that I get. I always get people to say, how come we don't have rec programming? How come we don't do more for the community? And then when we do, people don't show up, and it's disheartening. It's disheartening, right? The city spends money. They spend your money to go out there and put things out, and it just doesn't, people don't show up. But we figured out what they do show up for. We started with looking at the parks. We did a community engagement meetings on the Parks Master Plan. And I'm here to tell you that thank you to Cuyahoga County and our Cuyahoga County representative, Pernell Jones, who was the president of Cuyahoga County Council. He really helped us. We were able to secure about $285,000 to help address some of our parks. And what we did was we put new playground equipment at Debelac Park and also Forestdale Park. But one of the things that we did over at Debelac, and it's not complete yet, is we added we initially added 2 outdoor basketball courts. And we had 1 pickleball court. We tore down our skate park. The basketball court was so well attended, people were just utilizing it, that we decided to move the pickleball court to where the skate park is and do a 3rd basketball court there. And one of the things we're doing is we're using that to also help with some new programming. This fall, we plan on having a youth basketball league, ages 6 to 8 and ages 9 to 12 or 9 to 11. And these are young kids just learning how to play basketball. Now, in the fall, they won't be able to use the park, but they'll be able to use courts like St. John Lutheran Church over here, where, again, Cuyahoga County helped us to help them resurface their indoor court. The Smart Academy and the Holy Spirit Church, we're going to invest a little bit in there to also be able to use their courts, along with the courts that any courts that the Garfield Heights City School District will also allow us to utilize. This has got to be a community thing. We have got to work together to make things like this happen. And then we expanded our city event schedule. Last year I got criticized heavily because I did a town hall meeting every single month since really December of 2023, November, December. And I've carried it along every single month. It was my commitment to the residents of Garfield Heights that I will communicate to you guys. And so this year, I doubled a lot of that stuff. We're doing all kinds of events this year. Outside of these town hall meetings where you get your information, we're going to do some fun events like kayak with the mayor. You can come out to the pond and watch me get thrown overboard. We're going to do a bonfire. You know, one of the biggest events that I'm very, very excited about is Taste of Turning. We're going to have bands and food trucks, and it's going to be a nice area. And a lot of these events are not put on by the city. A lot of these events are sponsored by the city, but they're organized by residents. The Memorial Day Parade for years has been organized by one of our council members, even before she was a council member. The kayak with the mayor is something that's organized with the Cleveland Metro Parks. And the Taste of Turning is a group of local business people that wanted to put that on. So there's a lot of events coming. I will tell you, you have to check out our website to stay up with it. I have to check out the website in order for me to stay up with it. So just a lot of things that we're trying to do along with our community partners. Has anybody seen Garfield Park Reservation recently? Isn't that beautiful? I mean, I have a brother that lives out of town. He has not been back in Garfield Heights, what, Jennifer, maybe 10 years, 15 years? I sent him a picture of the pond. I said, hey, check out the new pond in my backyard. He said, where is that? He says, I didn't even think you could put something like that in Garfield Heights. And I said, well, it's in Garfield Heights. It's right. And I told him where it's at. And the day that they had the ribbon cutting, I had a guy tell me, you know, Mayor, this is beautiful. I can't even believe it's Garfield Heights. And I said, you know, I'm going to take that as a compliment because it sounds kind of slighted, you know. But it's a beautiful piece of property that I see a lot of people walking around. I love taking my dogs there whenever I can. And it's just beautiful. And you're walking around, the deer are just standing there looking at you, right? I'm going to spend a lot of time there. I will tell you that. It's peace and quiet, and it's nice. And I'm just glad that it's here. One of the things that I'm a little disappointed in right now is that the fishing docks, the fish are too small. I wanted to do a fishing derby with the kids. I have volunteers that want to do that, and I had to call them up and say, we can do it, just not this year because the fish are too small. And so they're going to be stocking it, and it's going to be nice for the children. Again, new programmings and events in 2025. The Metro Parks has a lot of stuff that they're going to plan right there at the Garfield Park Reservation. And it's not just around the pond, but it's hiking trails, it's picnics, things like that. Just, you know, stay tuned to our website and to their website because they will do a lot to help promote Garfield Heights as well. It's a great amenity. You've seen the Garfield Boulevard. I know some of you that live on the boulevard. I have to say, you know, I apologize it takes so long, but when that is done, that is going to be incredible. You know, for those that don't know what they're doing is that road, they did an extensive traffic study on that road, and they said it doesn't need to be that wide. So they've cut the road back about 12 feet. They are going to have a lane going in each direction and a turn lane in the middle. And they've actually put they're going to put a nice dedicated bicycling and walking lane in between the road and that trail that they're putting in. Is going to be nice bioswales, green space, and just really nice things that I think Garfield Heights deserves. It's really going to improve the look of that neighborhood. I can't tell you the amount of people that have called me and said, I know we got to go through this, but I'm excited, but you know, I wish it could get done faster, but it's going to be beautiful. Thank you, Mayor. And it's, you know, something that I have to tell you, we worked with not just the county on this, but we also worked with the Metro Parks. We worked with the Ohio Department of Natural Resources. There's federal funding that comes in this. The Northeast Ohio Regional Sewer District and Cleveland Water have put in to this investment. Out of the $10 million investment at this little short 3/4 of a mile of road or whatever, that connects the Garfield Metro Parks to the Cuyahoga Valley National Park. Out of the $10 million that was invested in this, Garfield Heights is going to pay about $500,000. That is like getting your entire house redone for the cost of just painting your front porch. And we would take it every day of the week. And I'm proud of that. I think it's, you know, it's something that we are desperately need here in Garfield Heights. Infrastructure improvements. We have completed multi-street phase 8. I think we're just on the tail end of getting done with that. And we are on to multi-street phase 9, which will begin this fall. Some of the streets that I identified on there is East 85th Street, East 110th Street, Park Heights, a little bit of people on Park Heights, Orm and Hathaway Road. It's approximately $5 million to resurface every bad street in our city. We are also looking at a few other streets. It's just been tough with this climate, this political climate we live in, because we rely on some state funding for that. We also go out a lot of times and we reinvest our bonds in order to be able to do streets. So our future forecast is incredible. We might actually be able to add a few more streets. How many people are familiar with the White House Bridge? That's the bridge over there right on Broadway and Henry Street. That's going to be completely replaced. I'm telling you that this is going to be a nightmare for us. They're going to try to tear down half the bridge and keep half the bridge open, but it's going to be a complete nightmare. They're going to be closing the street over there sometime this year, and it's going to take about 2 years to do it. I know that Dr. Corey at Marymount is probably not going to be happy with us, but to make that bridge safe, it's got to happen. I want to thank all the people from the federal level. Senator Sherrod Brown was really helpful on this, getting the funds to help do that. We also have our MLK sewer separation and South Parkway sewer separation is set to begin late this year. I'm told MLK will probably start the end of June, beginning of July. That is much needed over there in Ward 1, and I can't wait for South Parkway to get completely done. I remember how bad that street was for a long time. I wish we can get to all of them, but you know, when the money's available, we definitely go after them. We are already grading streets. This time next year, we should be able to add a few more streets that we normally do because of our financial situation and how it's improving in the city of Garfield Heights. So, before I let you out of here, I just want to say something. I'm trying to sum up the last 4 years. And I just want to say, serving as the mayor comes with immense responsibility. And I grew up in this community, and I still proudly call it home. I have a vested interest here because I own a house here. I have no plans to leave because I wholeheartedly believe that this is a wonderful place to live. But the role as mayor is ongoing and relentless. It doesn't pause and it doesn't stop. It's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I take my duties very seriously and have devoted my last 4 years and will continue to devote the rest of my life to the residents of the city of Garfield Heights as long as I'm here. Our achievements over the last 4 years are not just me. It's a result of an outstanding team working in our administration. And in Garfield Heights, we operate as a family looking out for each other. Our officers, our firefighters, city service workers, recreation department, law department, our building department, which by the way has been completely overhauled since I took over as the mayor, and finance department are the backbone of the city. And every day, they face criticism from some adversarial voices online. Yet their dedication to improving this city is unwavering. I want to thank them for their hard work and all the improvements that we have seen. Improvements including the reconstruction of Transportation Boulevard, East 98th Street, Antonucci, Kraken Road, and Garfield Boulevard, amongst other streets we have. Despite one of the harshest winters in the past 4 years, our city service workers, which is comprised of a lot of new guys out there, were diligently out addressing the streets. And when we brainstorm, when we sit down and talk about how we can improve our parks, we develop a community-engaged park master plan. This effort resulted in new playground equipment at Devil Egg Park and Forest Hill Park, as well as the basketball courts and pickleball courts at Devil Egg Park over the past year. And we're not stopping there. We're continuing to look for funding to put pavilions up, places that maybe our residents could rent for things like a birthday party or a wedding, things like that. Those are some things that are on my list. And you know, over the past year, we have expanded our recreation programming, and we're offering flag football, and soon to offer the youth basketball league. I would love to one of these days get enough money to put an indoor facility over there in Ward 1. It can also be a polling place for people to go vote, but also an indoor facility for pickleball, for indoor soccer, for indoor basketball as well. Things that we have a park that doesn't even get utilized over there, that would be great. Our building department has embraced new technology. They're introducing Citizen Serve, which is a way to go online, pull your permits. It's also a way for the people that own rental properties to register their rentals and actually pay their rental permit fees. You know, we've had issues before where we have had to send them notices, and you know, folks, the way we did business has really improved. You can see it in this room. In the past, you never saw 5 TVs out here with all this technology. We have it now because we've invested in it. Our finance department has upgraded their finance package. There, for the first time ever in Garfield Heights, we have an automated system where the numbers get put in, and when we need a report, we just type it out. It comes right out. When the estate auditor needs his information, he goes in and he gets it read-only. It's at his fingertips. We don't have to wait for people. We're waiting on them before they're waiting on us, which is great. But we do recognize that we need to build a new police station. And we're looking at different plans on how to do that now. But for the first time in almost 20 years, our city is witnessing people who want to invest here. Like I said, I have a purchase agreement that was sent to me for a parcel on Turning Road where somebody wants to build a huge building. I have the same person wants to bring in a wine producer from China to the United States, and multiple hotels and things like that. This is something that is unprecedented for us. We haven't seen this type of investment, and I hope we don't slow them down with things like issue 14 and having them wait while costs rise. Right now, it's very hard to predict because, as you can tell, there's tariffs out there, and the tariffs do raise the cost of things. But the city has seen more investment, potentially from foreign manufacturers who want to bring their operations to the United States, like an MPAC, and we want to try to get them here. And I know I've had conversations with Chris Alvarado back there about stuff like this, and he helps me. He's been through this so many times that he helps me to try to understand what steps to take. It's all about networking with county government, with state government, with federal government. Since taking office, I emphasized that Garfield Heights is open for business, and as I continue to be the economic development director here, I tell everybody we're going to make it easy to do business with, and we are open for business. come to me with what you want to bring, and we will talk. And that's very important, because my commitment to this city is steadfast, and I work hard each day to make Garfield Heights a great place. And you know what? I got rewarded the other day, because Cleveland.com ranked us 23 out of the 25 best places to live in Northeast Ohio. That's not just Cuyahoga County, that's Northeast Ohio. That is something that is remarkable, and it's a great achievement for our city. We also have received the Clean Energy Award from the Power for a Clean Future Ohio. Imagine that. A city that once was called Garbage Heights got a Clean Energy Award. That is unbelievable, and it's something that I'm very proud of. You know, this is our time. This is our moment in time to grow. We have not seen this in 2 decades. This is a time that we can really get together and really make things happen. Again, I want to thank everybody that has helped put this thing together. Tristan in the back there, along with our service workers that are taping this tonight. All of you that came tonight, our city council that worked so well with me. Just hang on, we've got a lot of events. Don't forget to come April 9th for the TOD, Reimagine Turney Road, especially for April 24th when we have the county campus here. We're doing multiple town hall meetings. We're doing meetings such as some fun stuff like Bike with the Mayor. Our Bike with the Mayor is going to be very friendly to families and to children. We're not going to be on the road. We're going to be on a path which is safer for the kids. And we're only going to go about 6 miles an hour, so you know we're not training for the Tour de France or nothing. And then don't forget, this weekend, this Saturday, we have our Easter event, which notably is very well attended. Please, folks, please check our city website, garfieldhts.org. I know it's undergoing a reconstruction, but the site that's up and running is updated every day, so you can see some of the new things and the events that we have. I just want to say thank you again for coming out tonight. I'm going to stick around here, and if you want to come up and ask me some questions, I'd be more than happy to help answer them. Don't forget about the pizza back there. And again, thank you. God bless you, and let's make this city roll.
Yeah.